Greetings! Welcome to the Devlog for hot dogs, horseshoes, and hand grenades. We're going to start off as always with a quick sound check. Make sure speakers aren't up too high. Wonderful. So what have we got for you this week? Well, this week is all about doors. That's right, real fake doors. As you might have heard, doors are a huge challenge in game development and game design. They're one of those sorts of entities and objects that, because of the nature of the way that we use them in real life and the way that bodies interact with them and the way that lighting has to interact and navigation, they sort of intersect every single challenging system in a game that would have doors in it. And so usually it's something that folks avoid at all costs. And so I decided I was working on an environment for the game and I was like, what's this missing here? What is wrong? Well, there's no doors on anything. And so decided it was finally time to rip the band-aid off and try to get this working. So I would like to show you the door that I have been working on all week. So let's start. Let's take a look and see what actually composes our door, what is unique and special about it. So we've got, for this one, we've got a door handle here, which we can open and shut. You can see, though, as I start to pull on it, the door doesn't open, and the reason for that is that it's also got a deadbolt, which we have to turn, which now allows us to open the door. We got some nice creaking sounds. That is way too much fun. As you can see here, there's a keyhole. The keyhole is not yet functional for the deadbolt, but it will be eventually. And just to let you know, the deadbolt and the latch here are not just for show, they are actual physical objects. So if I open that there and say grab our hatchet and poke against this, you can see that the actual deadbolt is present, and it is actually, say, preventing the door from shutting here because the collision is actually precise enough inside here to allow the deadbolt and the latch to go into it. Fun stuff there. Let's see if we can actually, I'm still trying to get this to work right, to get the velocity right. Let's see if we can slam it over the latch. Almost. I was able to get this to work yesterday. I'm still tuning the exact values. Yes! Awesome. Managed to slam it shut over the latch. You will also notice that this door and its frame are constructed like an actual door frame is, instead of the typical sort of, or at least I would say fairly commonly with a video game door, you sort of see a frame that is just a U shape and the door is sort of sitting in it, whereas here we actually have the sort of inset, which allows us to have a little bit of tolerance between the door and the frame, which I can also demonstrate with my testing hatchet, if it wants to behave. Might be there we go. Sort of thing. And that's actually, it's funny, I originally didn't do this when I made the first model, and then realized that I was having all of this physics glitchiness because the door actually needed tolerance, space-wise, from the frame to not act glitchily as it opened and shut. And so that's why that was modeled that way. So we actually have the space here for our hinges and our door hardware. There we go. Of course, you didn't come here just to see a door opening and shutting. You came here to see a door get destroyed. So let's start with the first way, which is just taking a trusty axe here and cutting our way through here. Boom. So now the door has transitioned from its whole state, where it actually functions as an environment blocker and is whole, into this sort of pre-fractured state. What's cool is this doesn't all just fall apart. These are painstakingly physics jointed to each other. It does tend to sometimes get a little jammed when this happens. Let's see if I can, there we go, poke it out. Wonderful. So these are actually fixed jointed to each other. They are remarkably stable given what I am asking for them. Oh, we just knocked a piece off with our melee weapon. If I push this in carefully and deadbolt it still, you can actually see that there's some flex and play to the joints, which is just so satisfying. And if we want to get through the rest of the door, we can just whack those pieces right off. Wonderful. So yeah, so that is of course, the primary way to get through is to have something that does melee damage, specifically mostly cutting damage, to be able to chop through and fracture the door if it is a wood door. Obviously, that would be way less effective against, say, a hollow metal door. The other way that we can get through our door that has taken so much trial and error to get right is through door breaching, which in this case I am using a handy-dandy shotgun here with slugs. I haven't actually tested the damage thresholds with buck yet, but you should be using a slug in this context. And the door and the frame together have 8 hit points. They've got 2 for the deadbolt, 2 for the handle, and 2 for each hinge. And this is basically door side and frame side. You might be like, why does it need so many? Well, there's going to be a whole bunch of different kinds of doors, as I'm imagining it. Some of which will have these hitboxes, or they will be protected by other aspects of the structure. The frame might be metal, the door might be wood, the door might be metal, the frame might be wood, etc. And so you will have to actually look at the door you are attempting to breach and go, how am I going to get through this? So yeah, so let's see. Let's start with the classic. Just one shot. We're gonna blow out the hardware here. Actually, I'll do this on the one that doesn't have the hitboxes visible. Take the safety off. Blammo! So that is now taken. So I can now just grab the handle, push this door in, use it for cover, advance slowly, take a target out, etc. So that is our standard way of doing it. Obviously, if you didn't even want to have a hand on the handle, oops, come on, there we go. We could also just blow out the door, like so, and then just come forward, slap it open, and breach like that. Now, that might not be the way that you want to do things. You might want to, instead of having it sort of fold open like that, have it come out a little more all at once, in which case we can take out the hinges. Let's actually see if we can hit this. Yep. You listen for the sound. That wasn't it. Oh, I'm messing this up. How am I off from the hinge? I think I was a little too high. Of course, this happens when I go to demonstrate this. This is a little harder to do without the hitboxes present. Come on. Might also be the angle. There we go. And just knock it down like so. Hopefully still have a shot left in your shotgun. And what's actually super fun about this is, as I said, with the way the physics works on this, is if I just take the hinges off, like so, it's gonna do it to me again. There we go. That deadbolt's still in there, that door hinge is still in there, so you actually get a little bit of resistance here on the door as it basically gets wrenched out of those connections, which I think is super fun. Good stuff. Good stuff. Let's see, do we still have a door? Oh, yep, we still got one more door. I have a bunch more ideas that I want to explore in getting this door to function and in getting it to be a sort of interesting and varied sort of micro challenge every time you encounter one. Obviously right now, because this is a wood frame wood door with a specific deadbolt and doorknob combination, exactly the ideal way to open this door is obvious, but I want to actually make a little bit of variation for that, both in terms of the materials that things are worked out as, but in addition, extra sort of security measures. Like, I'd like it to be the case that sometimes a deadbolt isn't present, but you go to open the door, like, there we go. You go to open the door, and it stops, like, right here at about this distance because there's a chain lock or a sort of sliding bolt lock. So you go to partially open the door, you're stuck, and then you have to use your breaching shotgun to get at it from there. I've got a bunch of other sort of door-related gadgets and things that might vary about one that I think are worth implementing to make this a more interesting thing. I'd like it to be something that you can learn to get good at, but at the same time is going to present you a semi-novel situation every time you go to enter one, because I think that will end up being, making things like quote-unquote breaching play more interesting. So yeah. Oh, it's all ready. Let's lock you up. Can we pull you shut? There we go. Open the correct way. Here's Anton! That is just so satisfying. Anywho, let's jump out of VR and talk about what else is going on with all of this stuff. Yo! Well, I hope you enjoyed all of that new exciting door action. This has been one of those projects that sort of... I wouldn't say sort of exploded out of my initial expectations, but I certainly got into it way more than I expected to this past week. It was something that was a requirement to make an environment look correct, and then as I started playing around with it, realized all of these things that, generally speaking, I haven't been able to do with a door in a video game, or bits and pieces in one game, bits and pieces of another, and then sort of realize like, oh, this is another sort of horizon of simulation depth I can really explore that just fits H3. And so yeah, as I was mentioning, I've got a bunch of other ideas I want to sort of bring to life with the door set. I want to do a chain lock, but faked. It won't actually be a real physics chain, but I want to do 1 to 2 types of locks where the door can get open just enough so that you can see there's another lock that you have to get rid of before you can open that door. I want to do let's see here. I probably want to do like a padlock or something like that would go on a gate. But instead of like, most games like, oh, there's a padlock on this lock. I shoot it once with my pistol and it breaks it off. I want to do one that actually sort of like multi-stage destructs a little bit. And even then, like the little latch will still be partially jammed in it. So you might have to shoot it and then like butt smack it a couple times to actually cause it to come apart. Something that actually, an obstacle that isn't instantaneously dismissed, but takes a little bit of effort. That makes it more interesting in my eyes. What else? For like a metal door, I want to do like the sliding eye slit sort of thing present for that. And of course, once all of this is all fully functioning, because I need to do the single door variant, I need to flip it so that I'm actually like these right now are technically left-handed orientation doors. I need to do the right-handed version of that, and then I need to do the modification, which is a double door, which obviously doesn't have, like, the door is not locking into a piece of hardware, it's locking into another door, and that door might have the little, like, the foot stand thing that goes into the ground that holds it in place, or it might actually have, like, a vertical lock and latch, so I might have to make that work. So yeah, so there's a bunch of different things, and as I said, like, I want it to be, all of the challenges in H3. I always try to, I'm always trying to give interesting permutation spaces, so that it isn't just sort of like, oh, I have to deal with one challenge, like, oh, this enemy is armored in this different way, I need to approach this enemy differently. They have a different piece of equipment that necessitates me sort of like being careful in a particular way, or the range I want to engage them. And I think with these doors, in a big way, I want it to be about a combination of a general skill set that you build in terms of being able to deal with them rapidly, to get through them, or to be able to like get through them carefully in a way that somewhat protects you, or that the agents can't see you, and still being able to shoot first. And then I want a whole bunch of ways in which each door can surprise you and cause you to have to slightly alter your plan, possibly based on what needs to be dealt with for it. So, and and of course, people are going to ask things like, are there going to be door breaching charges? Probably. I need to. Right now, the current explosives don't quite behave right in regards to them, in that basically because that transition from being a whole door to a cracked door occurs that frame, if an explosion goes off, no matter how much else happens, it doesn't actually blow the shards away. So I'm going to have to write a whole bunch of like special purpose code to like pass off the explosive damage from the whole door to the shards of the door one frame later, so that all occurs in the correct order reliably. And then of course the whole rat's nest of making it so that the AI can use them. Which is just going to be horrible. I want to try to solve that problem in a door-centric way instead of an AI-centric way, meaning to make their operation of the door kind of fundamentally implicit, where the door detects the agent, reads the state of the agent to see if the door is if the agent is trying to pass through the door, and if the agent is close enough to open the door, and in that case, the door will effectively open itself, and that should alter the pathing enough so that it visually looks like the agent is opening it. So that would allow me to essentially add these into scenes without having to, re-engineer like everything about the way the AI moves and interacts with objects, which would be, I'd like to not spend months doing that. So I'm going to attempt to do it this simpler way. And I'm sure I'll discover all sorts of new, just horrifying things that can go wrong. Believe me, plenty of them went wrong with the doors. If you want to know what they looked like before I managed to get those shards stably jointed to each other, they looked like this. Yeah, that was a stressful day. So, but it's going well, and hopefully next week when I push the next alpha, I should be able to put one of these doors temporarily into the proving ground scene so that you can play around with it, throw the agent at it, and probably find 5 or 6 state combinations that I didn't anticipate at all, and we'll have to do something about. So we'll see how that goes too. So, anywho, I hope you all found this interesting, and you all have a wonderful weekend. I will see you soon. Peace.